I've never seen such a brave girl. Not only was she not afraid of being accosted by thugs, on the contrary, he even teased them. Do you want to play with me again? The thugs thought they got a good deal today. But the next second, the girl suddenly took off her scarf and tied it on her stomach. The other end was thrown at the thug opposite. Then pour people out, feel every wind passing by. The scene in front of him made the thug afraid of shitting his pants. I can only hold the rope tightly and don't dare let it go, because he was afraid the girl would fall from the clan. Seeing the opponent play like that, the thugs didn't dare to say anything anymore. The whole group hastily turned around and ran away. But what Elena didn't expect was this. After that, she will meet someone many times crazier than herself. Until one day, a strange man boards Elena's train. With just one look, he was captivated by the beauty of ALA. But when he was thinking about the house and the children, then Allah threw in his towel again. Catch this, see this crazy action. Mark Rich suddenly came up with a bold idea. Elena thought she had just scared the other person to shit, but she couldn't believe that. When I opened my eyes again, then that man appeared right in front of me. I felt like I was about to hit the electric pole ahead. Elena quickly pulled Rick's eyes inside. I see that Elena is both beautiful and has 3 hot breasts. Mark Rich immediately fell and was hit by the arrow of love. But before he could even ask for the name of the Facebook ad, Allah disappeared in the endless sea of people. But the fate between the two people has not ended yet. That day, Elena was walking and it started to rain. While bored, she drew a depressed face on the wall. But after Elena left, then Mark Rich suddenly appeared and sat in that right place. See the face she just drew? He decided to complete the unfinished painting, and a cute baby girl was born. When Elena returned to that place again, then I discovered my painting had been edited. Out of curiosity, she left a question mark. I expected Rick's eyes to change the question mark to a boy holding a balloon. The two of them matched their swords. Finally, the colorful picture is completed. Both are curious about what kind of person the other is. Finally, Mark Rich couldn't wait any longer. Directly place a calendar on the wall. But when Elena came running, then his calendar was erased by the worker. Just like that, the two of them once again missed the opportunity to meet. Mark Rich is not only a famous fortune teller in India, but can also see the future through hand pointing. That day when Mark Rich watched, pointing to a rich man, despite seeing a bleak future, but professional ethics do not allow him to lie. I was surprised when I heard the results. The customer immediately sent someone to kill him, even though I almost lost my life. But thanks to that, he had a reason to go to the hospital. And that's where he met Allah again. From then on, Mark Rich started his days of eating and drinking at the hospital. Unconsciously, Elena also begins to develop feelings. With this crazy man, knew Elena had to go out to provide medical support in remote areas. Mark Rich did not hesitate at all. Drive over 300 kilometers, just to meet the girl I love. Elena is going to work. Then I saw that Mark Rich had been waiting for me for a long time. This made her completely emotional. He wasn't even afraid to brave the rain to sit in Na's car. But she doesn't know that danger is getting closer and closer. The two of them, Mark Rich, just sat down. Passengers around suddenly brought Tay towards him. Turns out they wanted him to help see his future. Mark Rich had no choice but to lead Allah to the ship. But the two of them haven't taken 2 steps yet. Then Mark Rich suddenly froze on the spot. Remember the scene just now? Mark Rich discovered everyone's lives are about to stop. Understand that the train will have an accident. Mark Rich quickly curled up his legs to chase Theo. Stop the train before it's too late. But what he didn't expect was this. The train suddenly turned to another road. Until Elena saw the news on TV. Yesterday's train was truly gone. The surviving AI witnesses the truth appearing before their eyes. Elena finally believed her boyfriend's words. He really can see other people's future. The next day, Elena decided to go ask her boyfriend for help. Hope, you can reveal the future ahead for yourself. Mark Rich said that Allah not only lives to be 100 years old, but both career and love are fulfilled. Even later, she also gave birth to a pair of cute twins. But Mark Rich hasn't finished speaking yet. Then a drop of blood suddenly fell onto Ayla's hand. The next second, Theo fell directly into her boyfriend's arms. Very quickly, Mark Rich took Ayla to the emergency hospital, then from Uncle Ayla's place. He learned she had a rare tumor. The probability of recovery is almost 0. Even, life only has 3 months left, even though the truth has appeared before. If you want to die for me, I also hope I can live for you. Allah, I will come pick you up. Do you want to live for me? Mark Rich's calls pulled Elena back from the arms of death. Very quickly, she was taken into the operating room. At the same time, Mark Rich also ran towards the dock in the rain. But when he ran to the place, the ship had already begun to pull away. Anchor left. But he still didn't care about the danger and was lucky to jump down. At the decisive moment, the sailor promptly saved him. But it seems like God doesn't want to give you 2. They meet again. While on the move, the ship suddenly encountered a huge storm. The sailors hurriedly controlled the ship, but facing the power of nature. Humans are really so small. Very quickly, the electrical system on the ship was destroyed. Everyone pulled each other onto the small boat and left. Only Mark Rich was left behind. But he still refused to give up. Because he knows that the person I love is still waiting for me. Finally, at the crucial moment, Mark Rich climbed to the top of the ship. Then he quickly sent out a signal for help. But that impact pulled Theo into a huge explosion. Mark Rich was quickly swept into the water. His head was also injured by a hard object. The moment Mark Rich left this world, Elena lies in the hospital room, also began to slowly open Ra's eyes. It seems like she can see everything that Mark Rich is facing. As Ayla's tears fell, Mark Rich suddenly regained consciousness. He frantically swam towards the sea, then tightly grasped the rope on the wooden barrel. Face the giant wave in front of you. Mark Rich let out a roar full of desire, determined to fight with destiny. When the sun returns to illuminate everything again, Elena was also pushed out of the operating room, but her eyes no longer had hope to live. Right at this moment, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in the hallway. It seems no matter how God forbids it, their hearts cannot be separated, no matter what situation you fall into. Mark Rich still didn't forget to bring Theo a rose. Okay, let's stop here today's time. Thank you for your attention. Suddenly put his hands out, then said that he had no love life. Therefore, if two people come together, there will be no results, because I'm so hopeless with this life. Heartbroken, Elena ran straight home, then lie down in the bathtub and meditate. Kill yourself, because he confessed his love to his lover. He lost 7. This woman decided to lie down in the bathtub to commit suicide. I expected that in the next second she would suddenly stand up again, then hurriedly ran out, pick up the coat from the ground, then take the diary out of your pocket and take a look. At this time, Elena finally understood why Mark Rich wanted to leave. Turned into Ra, he soon predicted the future of two people. Heaven does not allow them to be together. If you persist in doing the opposite of this, then one of them will have to leave this world. So Mark Rich chose to leave so Elena could live. After reading the diary, Elena made a very important decision. But right now, her uncle suddenly walked in again. I saw him smiling excitedly and said, "Doctors found a treatment for her." After listening to what the uncle said, El suddenly felt his joy fade away. Because this proves it, Mark Rich's prediction was completely correct. The evening before saying goodbye, Mark Rich organized for Allah an HOA away party. Together they danced among hundreds of people, just like the princess and prince in fairy tales. In front of Matt Rich, Elena tried to smile happily, but internally, she can't be happy. That evening, two people gave their lives to each other. But the next day when Elena woke up, Matt Rich has already left the city. Although the uncle tried every way to convince him, but Elena still refused to give up. On the contrary, he was determined to change his destiny, even though God only wants one person to live. Then she also hopes that person is Mark Rich. I only saw Allah slowly let go of the steering wheel. At this time, the truck suddenly rushed in. As a result, Elena quickly sank in a pool of blood, despite being taken to the hospital. But now Elena was no longer interested in anything. She even refused to cooperate with the doctor. The uncle had no choice but to call Mark Rich. Mark Rich knows that Elena sacrificed her life for love. Immediately felt extremely sad. Then he told his uncle to leave the phone next to him. Loudspeaker heard a familiar voice ring out. Allah immediately began to respond. She was lying still and suddenly grabbed her uncle's hand tightly. Mark Rich still trusts his judgment. He even steadfastly told Allah that, "Your predictions are never wrong. This time is no exception." Saw Elena being blatantly cheated by her lover. The uncle next to him immediately interrupted, even grabbed Madrid's collar and pulled him out, seeing the person you love being dragged away like that. But Allah no longer had the strength to even call him back. The days and months that followed, Elena still believes in her boyfriend's prophecy. So she immediately called Cho to major hospitals to inquire. But the answer she received was always only one. At this moment her uncle suddenly walked in on him, advised her to trust science. Don't believe in superstitions. But Allah said that his friend only reported the correct news. Do not report fake news. Because she had seen it with her own eyes many times. Because he wants to prove that Mark Rich is just a fraud. The uncle decided to go see him himself, who was known as the king. See this general? Very soon he arrived at the iron house. Then take fingerprints from 5 different corpses. Don't forget to put your handprint in there. But what surprised him was, after Mark Rich saw these handprints, not only can I tell you the reason and their time of death, but can also tell all the information about the uncle. 65 years old, is very respected in society, is a very successful doctor, currently still alive. Do you need me to say Ra? When will this person die and why? After listening to what Mark Rich said, the uncle was no longer as arrogant as before. Then he tightly grasped Mark Rich's hand, asked if Ale could still be saved. But Mark Rich did not directly give an answer, but just gently patted his hand twice. From that day onwards, Elena has begun to light up hope in his life. That night, Mark Rich Allah came to my house to play. Then she accidentally found a diary on your bed. Out of curiosity, she opened it to take a look. Internal content detection results. These are the memories of 2 people. But when she was engrossed in watching them, then Mark Rich suddenly ran into the room, then quickly put the diary in my pocket. After dinner, the 2 of them sat together to watch Sal. Elena seems cold. Mark Rich quickly took off his coat and put it on her. But when Allah gathered all his courage, prepared to confess your love to him, then Mark Rich suddenly interrupted her. He said he was leaving and never coming back. Heard Mark Rich say so. Elena immediately felt extremely confused. Also said no matter where it is. I also volunteered to accompany